players now work on the most important step in the game, which is your crossover step. And then they shuffle back. And as you see, we work on a right crossover front. We work on a left crossover front. We also work on a reverse cross back because that's going to be a lot of inverted shots that you hit. So again, we have all these tests for all these players that are completely tennis specific. They are not just testing to do testing for general athletes. We do this for tennis specific athletes. We'll show you one of the last ones. Okay, this one actually we have to finish the X drill, but you see we do extra defensive forehand. We do an extra defense, neutral forehand, offensive forehand. Same thing when it comes to the backhand, and we work on inside forehand. And we get these numbers because at the end, this is now a tennis shot. It tells us how fast he's moving from one point to the other as he's hitting defensive backhands, at least in this case. As you see, neutral forehands, and you see offensive forehands also. The backhands we put right next to it. So we're able to then tell one graph to the other. That's now your speed and agility with tennis-specific movement. We have numbers when it comes to muscular endurance. So we have the guys go through squats. Remember the squats that we did on the screening? We also do those. Single leg squats with the right. We have specific. So we go 30 seconds on where they have to do squats and they have to get to a certain line before we allow them, and those count. Okay. Then they go 30 seconds off, 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off, 30 seconds on, because we want to see if they're able to maintain. Okay. Now he actually, you see these numbers actually reverse in most people. He was getting used to the exercise. This is the first time he's ever done testing like this, because a lot of times you might see the highest number on the first 30 seconds, then a number that might be close in the second, and then the third one, they're spent. So then you know the muscular endurance then breaks down. Okay, they cannot do the same activity for a long period of time with breaks in between. Okay, our sport is what? There are breaks in between. So imagine like you're doing the first set, the second set, and third set of a match. First set, generally you're pretty fresh. The second set, you're going to start feeling the third set, you're pretty dog, you're pretty tired. But if you can do whatever you do in the third set compared to the first, then you're good. Muscular endurance, power, we're not going to talk about today because that's going to be a little bit more in the lab or the gym, because these other tests you can do anywhere. And then we have some strength and stability when it comes to, for example, push-ups. We do modified sit-ups. We don't do the sit-ups that comes all the way up or those crunches, because actually that actually hurts the vertebra. It hurts the spine, so we stay away from those. So we modify our testing to our players. We actually have them just come up with their shoulder blades up just a bit with a very neutral spine, and they can go back down. So we monitor this, and we make sure they have mats underneath their cushion, as we do not want to put them at rest. So if you're going out there and asking these guys to do sit-ups where they come all the way up, you're not doing a service to the athlete. If you're asking them to actually do sit-ups when it comes to a hard floor, you're not doing service to the athlete whatsoever. Keep that in mind. We do prone bridges as well. So prone bridge is just your plank. Then we do side planks as well. So again, this will be all shared with you so you have an idea of what we do. The other aspect of the video that we sent you is we actually do coordination. We take two balls, we go against the wall, and we bounce them. Every time he catches a ball, it's worth one. We do with the feet completely quiet. We come here, and then we start tossing the ball, okay? And then we catch it, and then also we do it where the feet now are moving fast. And we work with both hands. We see, okay, if he's able to toss with the right and catch with the left. Okay, also if he's able to toss with the left and catch with the right. We just were working with a player in Spain, and he was phenomenal tossing with his right. And, you know, it's an inside, of course, with our team, an inside joke, he was terrible with his left. It was awful. The discrepancy between the two numbers was huge. Now, the beauty is he took it upon himself because he felt, I think he felt a little embarrassed. He got this down in a couple of weeks where we know he went to his apartment and he was working on it because the discrepancy was so big. Okay, but again, all this information allows us to know how they're going to be playing out there. Think about even the coordination here. You're catching one and you're tossing with the other. You're working with bilateral coordination. Similar to what? So, understanding how one movement is going to affect the other. Go ahead. Absolutely, because on the serve, you have now one body part or one segment, okay, doing something different than the other one. So that's why these tests are absolutely thought about. And we say, well, are these some of the best tests we can do that still we test the athlete, but we test the tennis athlete? Crucial. Have to do when it comes to your tennis players. Okay, so there's some of the testing that we do. And again, these are metrics that are utilized to have the ability to review, record, and measure progress. Measure progress. Additionally, it is vital for planning for the next stages of training. So when you do these testing, you're able to evaluate where they're at now, where they were before. And I know we just have numbers for him for right now. And now you know that 14, we don't want him there. We want 15 or 16. We want him more explosive. And by the way, we have numbers for a ton of players, his age, his ability. We're able to say, look, you're pretty much in the 90 percentile, or you're pretty much in the 50% percentile. So we know where he's at according to his peers, in comparison to his peers. So it gets us to the last part today. I send you a video today that we're going to continue the conversation on Monday. It's about body dominance. This is critical. We understand now by screening, okay, we understood that maybe one shoulder's down, one shoulder's up. That's not necessarily body dominance. Body dominance is what we're born with. This is something that's just genetic. Now, at some point, can you overcome body dominance? Yes, you can with overloading. You can. But for the most part, we are dominant on one side. So, for example, I am a right hand. Abby, you're a left hand. That's just the way we're born. Period. By the way, you know Rafa is a right-hander?
Yes, I know.
There you go. You know this. Okay? You're an experienced coach. So we know he overcame that dominance because Tony, Uncle Tony knew that actually a lefty will have an advantage in our sport. You guys do have an advantage because of the serve. But anyways, okay, so can you overcome body dominance? You can. But this is crucial for us to understand. What is body dominance? Why test it? You have to test it. What does body dominance tell us? Again, tell us not just the general athlete. What does it tell us to the tennis-specific athlete? What are the tests for body dominance? We're going to get to this on Monday. And what are the body parts of the body, or for body dominance? Excuse me. What are the body parts for body dominance? So when we test them, which body parts are we testing? What are the most important ones?
About body dominance, there is a genetic also factor, like we have seen with the Olympic athletes, like Jamaican people from Jamaica, they're very good sprinters, and people from Kenya, they have a very good endurance level.
It's a great question. There's a couple of components that go with it. One of them is, there's been this whole talk about how, for example, like African Americans are much faster sprinters than, for example, someone from India. Let's just say, not necessarily. Okay, there's some aspect to your genetics that you're born with, your predisposition to be faster, stronger than somebody else. Fine. Okay, but also it's the environment that you grew up with. For example, in Kenya, okay, the way, for example, I forget his name, but Khashoggi is the best marathon runner of all times. He's a Kenyan. Okay, the way they grew up is they grew up actually running around, okay, longer distances, and they do this over and over again, and they challenge each other. The Jamaicans are some of the fastest sprinters in the world. Small country, and they produce some of the fastest people. Because actually they develop systems, okay, whether they do it by accident or not, they develop systems for people to go out there and do those things. So is there a genetic disposition to it? Yes, there's no denying it. But the actual system, the actual country, the actual state, region, or whatnot, tends to produce more athletes that are not in that sport because they involve themselves in the same environment. They train the same way. They train the quote unquote the optimal way.
In India also, maybe somebody from the very beginning, they are trying to be a long distance runner, but why they cannot be like someone from Kenya?
Fair enough, because they're not in the environment. They're not in the environment. Look, there's a couple of things that are required for you to do something. One of them is you have to make sure before puberty, you get what you need. Remember, we talked about the ABCs: agility, balance, coordination, speed, recognition, and neuromuscular. If you don't develop that before puberty for optimal performance of that sport, it's over. It's over. It's done. You're not going to get it later on. But let's just say somebody from India did something very similar to somebody from Kenya. They have a really good chance to do the same thing. That's one. The second aspect, as we said, is you have to surround yourself with people that are doing the same exact high level training. This is why you see tennis players seek other tennis players that are of a certain level, okay, or a higher level, because you want to push yourself, right? It's the same thing with a marathon runner or a sprinter. They surround themselves around those people. This is why the Jamaicans have great sprinters. This is why the Kenyans have long distance runners, Ethiopians as well. Okay, this is why you have certain athletes. For example, how many cricketers, great cricketers, are there in India? There's not that many great cricketers anywhere else. You're going to tell me that cricket, you can't find great athletes in the US or Europe or South America that can, or anywhere in the world for that matter, that cannot play cricket? No, it's just they are not exposed to something like that. While you in India, I know you're in the Maldives also, Abby, but we have a huge Indian audience, is you guys are involved with cricket all the time, right? So there's two aspects. Have you developed your agility, balance, coordination, speed, your recognition, and your muscular? One. And has it been specific for that sport as a general athlete, but also specific for that sport? And two, are you surrounded with an ecosystem of people that are going to push you athletically to that sport?